Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I am Coach Lorianne, America's #1 take action success coach and strategist, inspiring, educating, igniting, and empowering people like you to take action with jet propulsion. Today on our show on Healthy Lifestyle, I'm so excited to have this conversation. Having been through it myself, we have the great, wonderful Jamie Lima on, and we are going to discuss taking financial control over your divorce. So important when going through a divorce, knowing what your finances are. It's scary when you start thinking of those numbers and can I do this and how do I get out and all this wonderful things. Well, I got to tell you, stay tuned to this episode. You're going to want to hear it because Jamie offers some support, some free software to help you do those financials. I just want to give you a little background on Jamie before we jump in. After going through an incredibly difficult divorce himself, Jamie decided to become a Certified Divorce Financial Analyst and founded Allegiant Divorce Solutions to help others better prepare for and navigate and recover financially from divorce, which is really tough to do on both sides. With almost 20 years of experience, Jamie really loves helping clients make important financial decisions and making the puzzle pieces fit for his clients. He launched SecureSplit recently, which is a web and a phone-based app that delivers a clear and measurable guidance to divorcees, and they can accurately plan their divorces and financial futures. Welcome to the show, Jamie.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. So having gone through divorces and having really guided and we'll even say coached some of people that I know who are going through divorces and all the different levels and steps, in between all the emotions, the biggest thing I think that captures us is the finances, because that leads to the freedom, that leads to the capability, that leads to being able to get your own and sustain your own place and all those good, yummy things that come along with that. Give us a little background on your divorce and what really set you off and said, you know what, no more, I'm doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, well, I think really where it started was seeing my parents go through their own divorce when I was 8 or 9 years old, and being very young and seeing the challenges that they faced. You know, they were working multiple jobs to be able to support themselves and support us as kids. And I remember early on, I had this sense of like, I want to make sure that my kids never have that same experience or those same emotions. And, you know, you're only 8 or 9 years old, so it was very hard for me to unpack what I was going through at that stage. But I remember having that distinct memory. And then I think that's really what thrust me into the world of financial planning, because if I learned how to invest and manage money and help other people do the same thing, you know, that would be beneficial to not only myself, but my family and the masses. And then over you know, a few years back, I went through an incredibly challenging divorce myself and realized at that point that even though I had 13 or 14 years of experience at that stage, even I made mistakes and I had questions and I had things that I just didn't understand.
Why not? You know, when you go through something the first time, why would you have that information?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now that I have this experience, and both personally and professionally, my job is to help other people not step in the same landmines that I did along the way.
Yeah, I remember helping someone and she was being justed to death. You know the justed to death, right? For our listeners, justed to death is I just want this. And then next day is I just want that. And if you add all the justeds up, they're taking everything, you know. So, and it sounds reasonable on its face and you don't want to argue. And you know, you want to avoid that as much as possible, which I'm sure the arguments were there anyway, hence the divorce, right? And then you also have the element of the children in there, and that, you know, being an 8-year-old having a divorce, there's different things. 8-year-olds look at it differently, right? But as people who are married, you don't get married and think you're not going to be together forever. So you have these preconceived notions of what life is going to look like. And that's the mourning that we have to go through, that life is not going to look like that. I'm not going to be my parents and holding hands until they're, you know, older and have 50 some odd years under. I felt like I was a failure because I wasn't going to have that 50 years. I only booked 25 in. You know, at 25, I was like, and out. So it kind of makes you feel like a failure because you know people do it all the time, and why can't I do it? And there's just, you know, people drift and it's okay. And noticing and recognizing it is important. And making sure we don't use the children as a financial football is real important, don't you think?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and how we do that is empowering ourselves by using these tools. So what was the next step? So you decided, listen, I went through it personally. I'm a financial advisor. Let me take these people to the next level and help them through these hurdles so that the things that they don't know, nor should they, let me help them empower them with tools. So what was that next step, Jamie?
Well, yeah, we launched I had a financial planning practice where I was doing traditional retirement planning, wealth management, investments, and that type of thing. And we created a sister company, which you mentioned, Allegiant Divorce Solutions, about 3 or 4 years ago now. We created that company, and within just a couple of years, that company put me in a position where I was able to actually sell the wealth management practice and go focus all in on the divorce work that we do. And it just, at one point, not to toot my own horn here, but we had 120 people a month putting themselves on our calendar asking for help.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yay to them to ask for help. That's a very difficult thing for a lot of
Exactly.
people to do.
100%.
Asking for help. I wish I had had a you by my side when I was going through it because there's so many times that you don't know if you're doing the best thing. Like, is this the best thing? And that's the questioning. That's the hard emotional ride that you're on because you don't know because you've never done it before. So, and you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So someone like you helps guide you in a coaching mechanism, and being able to coach you through, give you the tools you need, empower you to be able to answer those questions. And there's still going to be things emotionally that you don't know. That's another Oprah Winfrey show.
Exactly. And the
Right.
beauty of the work that we do is that once the divorce is finalized, our relationship isn't over. We will help them with that next phase.
Yeah, yeah. I coach a lot of people in that next phase to help them get over those hurdles and pursue their dreams and become that next best version of themselves because that's what they're looking for. And it's similar to what you do. What kinds of services do you provide through Allegiant Divorce Solutions?
If it has to do with the financials, we're pretty much involved with it. We'll do everything from helping people prepare for negotiations and just give them a sense of what they may want to strategize with and what kind of negotiations would look like, and just helping them prepare for it, or which is kind of a snapshot in time service that we offer,
Sure.
or we'll help them through the entirety of the divorce, and whether
Sure.
that's a year or 2 years or 5 years. Hopefully not 5 years, but we've had a lot of a couple long cases. But we'll do everything. So we'll look at everything from organizing the financials, helping strategize and get an understanding of what the goals and objectives are of you as the client, and then putting a plan in place to ensure that every decision you make along the way is going to help you get closer to achieving those goals. So there's a strategy component of it, but there's also an overlay of traditional financial planning where we want to understand what our clients' lives what they want their lives to look like 5, 10, 20 years into the future, and how do we position them to get there. We'll
Yeah.
coordinate with the attorneys, and we'll prepare for mediation, and we'll divide up the retirement accounts and help them divide up their assets after the divorce is finalized. If there are numbers involved or financial decisions involved, we're pretty much touching every aspect of it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's just invaluable to have someone like that walk alongside you during this process. Again, because you're just, and I don't know if this happened to you, Jamie, but I think I experienced every emotion possible almost at the same time.
You're in the middle of this tornado, and you have all of this information spinning around you, and you're listening to your attorney, you're listening to your family and friends, and you have your own thoughts in your mind of how this is supposed to go. And then you're going through that mourning experience because it is a death of a relationship, and you have to, it's, yeah, I mean, you're riding that wave, and whether you're experiencing all those emotions all at one time or throughout the course of the day, they're going to hit you.
Yeah, I also caution people who ask. I caution people that be careful who you're listening to and who's whispering in your ear, because sometimes through their own fears, they aggravate the situation. Sometimes it's the attorneys, but most of the times it's friends and family with good intentions. But what they're doing is they're aggravating the situation. They're making it worse.
Yeah,
Um,
well, the old, like, I knew it was going to happen, or she wasn't right for you all along, or he wasn't right
yeah,
for you
that's
all
how.
along. doesn't help anybody.
That's
And it just makes you feel worse. So you're right,
yeah.
with good intention, but you've got to be careful of who your audience is and who you're taking advice from.
Yeah, yeah, because again, it's I would believe that no one has malintention, but they're not helping by whispering in your ear. Sometimes it's the future girlfriend, future boyfriend that like start telling you stuff, and you're just like, stop, just stop. And that's an important element. What's some of the biggest mistakes? I know one. Divorcing couples make. One that I know is when they start splitting up their financials and not doing it the right way. Oh, it could cost you so much money.
It's really that it's not getting an understanding of the
Cointreau, was it a Cointreau?
the quadro, the
Quadro.
qualified
Cointreau is a liqueur. Never mind.
or quattro. I think is an Audi type of version of an Audi.
That's true too. That's true.
Quattro, but a quadro, the
Quadro.
qualified domestic relations order, is a legal document that is prepared by. We can actually help do that. We're not attorneys, but we have the capabilities of helping people draft those documents.
Sure.
Mainly because they're stemming from the agreement, so there's no practice of law. But that document is used to divide up retirement accounts in divorce, and a lot of people think they can do it themselves. Number one, huge mistake.
Huge
Because
mistake.
if you don't dot an I the right way or cross the T the right way, and you send that off to the plan sponsor, i.e., Fidelity or Vanguard or whoever, you could spend 6 months back and forth with them trying to get it corrected, or they're just going to decline it, and then you have to go back to
Yeah.
the drawing board, and you waste a
Yeah.
bunch of time and money. But the other aspect of this is taxes. Like, people don't understand the impact that taxes have on the decisions that they have to make. If I take this asset versus that asset, or if we separate these accounts, how does that impact us tax wise? And the tax man can come back to haunt you if you're not making the right decisions. And that's one of the key things that people make. The second is having their attorney tell them what to do from a financial perspective.
Yeah. No, don't.
Attorneys are great at a lot of things, but I work with a lot of them, and I've actually had a lot of them as clients, and most of them can't even manage their own money, let alone tell you what to do with yours.
Attorneys are good at giving legal advice, and remember, it's legal advice. You don't have to do it. They're just advising you, but they're not good at negotiating and money. Negotiating is not a good thing. Sorry, guys,
Yeah.
it's true. Come on. I know a number of you that are just not good negotiators. So, but stick to your legal advice because you're really good at that. I tongue in cheek, but it's true. It is.
So
Just so that everybody knows, all of your contact information, everything is linked with this episode. So feel free to grab that, go to see him. I think you're a great power partner for you, our financial advisors, because they are usually in the mix of a divorce.
that and the financial advisors that are out there just don't have this expertise in this area of specialization. It's very nuanced. So I actually coach advisors today, and we have a bunch of CE and presentations we've done and speaking engagements just on this particular thing, where there are some pretty significant pitfalls that the financial advisor can step in, and some challenges that they can make, which open themselves up to compliance and legal issues themselves if they're giving bad advice, because they too don't understand how some of this stuff works. So in a lot of ways, we'll step in, help the client through the divorce, coordinate with the financial planner, and then allow them to basically, they just take that relationship back when the divorce is settled, right? And then they walk away looking like the hero, and we've come in and made sure the client is taken care of along the way. And
Yeah, you're the white
yeah,
horse.
kind of,
Yeah,
kind
you're the
of,
white horse
yeah.
comes in and takes it through. All 50 states, you service all 50 states because every
All
state
50
has
states.
their own rules. Oof.
All 50 states, all 50 states. We've done some, the one I dislike the most is Louisiana, because the laws are really crazy down there because of all the parishes and the French law and everything else. But all 50 states. We actually just have 3 clients in Alaska this past 6 weeks or so.
Wow.
Alaska is a hotbed for divorce at the moment, but yeah,
What's
we're
going on in
all
Alaska?
over. Not sure, but we're all over the place, so we can help wherever.
Yeah, I love that you're in all 50 states, and that the organization is there actually for support and bringing you through that really difficult time during your life that you really need support. I really wished I had a you when I was going through mine because it was tough. And one of the things I think I was telling you a story pre-show about a judge that I when I was going through my divorce, I was sitting there and I had a challenging thing to do, and a girlfriend just happened to call me. She goes, I hear you're upset. Are you okay? Something told me to call you. And she said, I just have one question. I don't need to know what you're going through, but what are you teaching your children? And I got to
Hmm.
tell you, when she told me that, and I shared that with actually a family court judge who's still sitting on the bench. I shared that with a family court judge. That made my decision so much easier because it didn't put my kids in the middle. I didn't want to put my kids in the middle. I didn't want him to put the kids in the middle. And my kids were older. They were teenagers and adults. And it's just something that when you're making the decision, like, what are you teaching the kids when you're going through something like this? How you should act, what decisions you're making. It made it so much easier. Because when you ask yourself that question, the answer is so clear.
Yeah, I mean, and alienation is a real thing.
Yeah. Well, that makes the emotion stronger and harder, and then that makes the financials all of a sudden, it makes it all about, that's why it becomes all about finances, you know? So
Exactly.
people's stability is based in finance. Most marriages break up because of finances, financial difficulties. So, if you're thinking about it, someone like you helps them through the process, makes it easier. Listen, at the end of the day, there's nothing easy about divorce. It's not a fun thing. But if you can make it better, do it. And by calling someone like Jamie, that's the best thing that you could do. Reach out, get that information. Now, the next question I have is, I know it's the deep dive here because this is some of the tools that you offer, and I am so excited that you offer this tool. You guys get a piece of paper because this is important. What is SecureSplit?
SecureSplit is twofold. One, we have a professional version that allows attorneys, CDFAs, and mediators like ourselves to do our work much more effectively, efficiently, and have give clients much better outcome. We are in MVP status right now, so we're working towards MVP, and that'll be launching early 2026.
Awesome.
Right now, live is a consumer version. It's called Toolkit. You can find it at toolkit.securesplit.com. So it is our divorce toolkit, toolkit.securesplit.com. And you can go in and you can run child support calculations, alimony calculations. There's a budgeting tool in there. There are some premium calculators that, more complex, more advanced stuff that not everybody's going to need access to, but there is some capabilities there. And you're talking, $14.99 to access these calculators for a month or 6 months, whatever it turns out to be. But my thought behind this was, there's no software out there that will just answer the question, what am I on the hook for? What am I going to be receiving? What are my costs going to be? What is this all going to look like?
Yeah.
Nothing exists besides
Yeah.
spreadsheets and some bad calculators that are out there. So this is available in all 50 states. You can go to toolkit.securesplit.com, access all the calculators for free. You can eventually book calls with us if you want to get more help, so on and so forth. But the main impetus behind this is just to literally educate as many people as we can. And we actually validate the data. So every week we run an audit and make sure that all of our calculators are up to date on all 50 states. And there's an accuracy report that's in there. So we know with 97, 98% accuracy that all the calculators are functioning correctly. Why not 100%? Because some states have very arbitrary calculators and there's some rules of thumb that are involved, and we can't get to 100% because of, there's some state specificity. But for the most part, you're going to be able to get a good sense of what you're going to be on the hook for or what you're going to be receiving, and it's all for free.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean that makes a big difference. It's just so many times I hear people go, I don't know where it's going to land. I don't know if I can afford this. I don't know what. I'm like, oh my gosh, you can't live like that. You need
Yeah.
that adds to the emotional uh, confusion that you have.
And a lot of people can't afford a financial planner, or they can't pay an attorney 800. I just got a quote for an attorney for another project that I'm working on, $800 an hour. The cost for an attorney is insane these days.
Oh my God, what are
So
they going to do for you?
it was a business contract situation, and I'm like,
I got
$800
a
an
great business
hour.
contract guy. He won't be that much. I got one.
We'll talk offline.
Okay. But yeah, no, it's crazy and it makes it unaffordable. And that's when people make the biggest mistakes because they can't afford it. They don't know what to do. So then they try to shortcut it. They try to do it themselves, and that's when they get into fight, which actually ultimately costs them more money in the other end because they have tax consequences and they don't have the money to pay for it. So or they get overcommitted to things they don't have the money to take care of. So I want to dive a little bit into secure split change um,
Mhm.
and why that's a game changer for divorcees. But we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. We're here speaking to the wonderful Jamie Lima. He is really going to help hook you up with some really cool tools that will allow you, if you need to go through a divorce, to make that process a little simpler, easier, maybe a little calmer, if you will. So we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I am Coach Lorianne. If you'd like to be a guest or lift up your business, product, non-for-profit, or if you just have a question or comment, we love hearing from you. Please email us at healthylifestylewithla@gmail.com. That's healthylifestylewithla@gmail.com. You know, I love hearing from you. I appreciate your advice. We've had a lot of people on based on what your requests were, so keep those emails coming. In the meantime, we're here today with Jamie Lima. Jamie is just unbelievable about taking financial control over your divorce. Jamie, we left off with this wonderful thing that you started called SecureSplit, offering some tools, the toolkit.securesplit.com, where you can go in and get calculators to help you decide like what's really going to happen with my finances. What a great, unbelievable, better than my piece of paper trying to figure out like what this really means. That would have made me so happy. And I know it makes a lot of people happy. So what is the game changer with the secure split with divorcees?
Well, I mean, I think the problem that we face in this space, especially people that have gone through a divorce like ourselves, the first thing you think about when you make this decision, aside from maybe like what's going to happen to the kids and am I going to be okay, and those types of concerns that people have, the first people usually do is go, I need to get a good attorney. I need to find a good attorney who's going to help me through this. And this was the mistake that I made. Now, I like my attorney. I think he was really good at a lot of things, but you know, I probably could have done a lot of this on my own had I had the resources that are available to folks now by way of SecureSplit. So
Yeah.
my thought process behind building this was really, let's not make the first call to the attorney.
Yeah.
Let's sit down. Let's just take a beat. Let's get some information first. How much am I going to, I know what I have coming in. I know what I have going out. I know what my spouse earns, what state we're in, like all the important stuff. How is this all going to shake out? Am I going to be receiving alimony? Am I going to be paying alimony? Can I keep the house based on the budget that I have? All of those questions that people come to us with, they can now answer for free. And if they need more help or it's get a little more complicated and they have things like, to divide up retirement accounts or there's some tax concerns they have, they can pay us a couple extra bucks for the resource that's there and pay for the premium calculator for a month or 2 or 6 or whatever long they need to do that at basically $14 a month, $15 a month, whatever it comes out to be, but still getting really good sound advice at an incredibly low cost. That way, when you're armed and ready, when you go into those conversations with the attorney, because I work with a lot of women, and I'm just going to say this because it's not to be sexist, but 90% of the clients that we work with are women. Why? Because they're smarter when it comes to stuff like this. They get their ducks in a row and they stay organized and they try to be pragmatic. And there's some emotion that's involved in there, but if they can get over that, they really want to make sure they're setting themselves up for success. Dudes, we come in, we're like, I've got it all figured out. Nobody needs to tell me what to do. I've got it handled. And then we wonder why, if you look at all of our TikTok comments, it's all dudes saying that no one should get married or alimony is a scam. Why? Because they had John Wayne syndrome and they thought they had it all figured out. They made bad decisions and now they want to blame somebody else for that instead of reaching out for help.
Yeah.
So if we can get people to get the information first, get themselves organized, prepare accordingly before they go into the conversations with the attorney, they're going to save themselves a lot of headache and certainly a lot of money.
Yeah. So what do you do when you get a client who doesn't know those numbers, who is like, I don't know, my partner did it all. What do you do
Mhm.
there?
It's not unusual. There's usually one decision maker, the family CFO. And again, not to be sexist, but it's usually the dude. So if that's you, number one, please don't let it be. Like, you have to involve yourself in those conversations, go meet your financial advisor, like look at your statements and your bank records and your brokerage account statements, all that stuff. Like, you need to be doing that. That's just like good advice for anybody.
Yeah.
But if you're not, sometimes it's about understanding the information you don't have.
Yeah.
Most of the women that come to us have about 60% of the information that we actually need to start building a case for them. But if we can just chip away at what we do have, then it's like, okay, well, we know that there's a particular account at this particular place. How do we get access to it? Are you a joint owner and you can march yourself down to the bank and go ask for a copy of the statement? Or do we need to do some additional research? So all is not lost if you don't have the information. With the experience that we have, I mean, I couldn't even tell you how many brokerage account statements I've seen over the 20 years of my career at this stage, right? I can usually tell where those accounts are and
Sure.
how to gain access to them. And a
Yeah.
lot of folks that do the work that we do can do that as well.
Yes.
So don't be afraid if you don't have the information. It's okay if we're missing some pieces. We can put the puzzle together as we go, and that's what a lot of times that's what our job is doing. And I wouldn't say forensic accounting because that's like a total different realm and incredibly
That's a
expensive.
colonoscopy.
Yeah, we do what's called asset tracing, which is very similar, and we can follow the money, and we can usually help people sort that all out.
Yeah, that's so important. You're also a mediator, so not only
Yeah.
would you be able to do that part, but you could actually they could just swing into mediation with you. Mediation could have you avoid getting an attorney altogether, other than the final review. So, because I went by way of mediator, and that's where I did my stipulation through
Mm-hmm.
the mediator. So, and that was a great decision because anybody who I know have gone through some, not all, of the attorneys, they didn't necessarily get the right information. They didn't ask the right questions. And again, you don't know what you don't know. So you need to
Well,
make
yeah,
sure.
and the attorney is a trained litigator,
Yes.
not a trained mediator. That's why when you
Explain to
go,
our listeners the difference, because there's a
yeah,
significant difference between a mediator and a litigator.
a litigator is the one that wants you to go to court to duke it out, right? Why is that? Is because if they take you to court and you're duking it out, their hourly rates and it's more they're more billable hours, it's more money in their pocket.
Yeah.
Right? Mediation is an opportunity for people to come together and come into an agreement, and that's really what we do. Is it's not about, we're not, no one's taking sides.
Right.
We're doing whatever we can to keep you out of the courtroom.
And in
That's
the
our
same,
ultimate goal.
and in the same room and make decisions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which most of the time two people who are getting divorced can't, but the third person being in the room calms everything down, or should calm everything
Yeah.
down and be able to get people to where they need to be. It generally costs, at least I know in New York, it generally costs just to walk into the courtroom $20,000. So my
Yep.
question has always been, Jamie, is where do I want to send my money? Do I want to give it to the attorney? Do I want to keep it in the family? And again, no offense to attorneys. I have many attorney friends and many attorney clients, and I love you all. However, comma, go do something else. Let's not do this. How does that balance out for you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. And this isn't a knock on attorneys, and I don't want this episode to sound like that,
No,
or
no, not at
my
all.
my message to be that way. But if I have a choice between paying for my attorney's kids' college and my own kids' college, it's a no
Sorry.
brainer.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
It's a no
yeah,
brainer.
yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, there's a time and place where you do need that, and there are certain divorces that you're going to absolutely need that. But if it's a pretty clean divorce, it's a lot better. And to start with you is really important. So when somebody's looking for you, who are they looking for?
The easiest thing to do is go to allegiantds.com, go to the website, go to our Allegiant Divorce Solutions. If you're going through a divorce and you think you're going to need the help and somebody to support you through the process, you can always book a call with us. We'll triage the situation. We'll get a sense of like, it doesn't even make sense to bring us in. Are we too early? Are we too late? Is this going to be too costly? And going back to my comments about education and really just trying to help as many people as we possibly can. If we're not going to be a fit, we'll either try to find a fit, or we'll point you back to the toolkit and you can go get the help for free.
Yeah. 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 And you just empower them. And I love that about you. If you could offer one piece of advice to someone going through a divorce that you wish you knew at the time of your divorce, what would that be?
You are now the CEO of your life, and you have to operate just like you would if you were the CEO of a business. You're very pragmatic. You're very practical. When you communicate with the other side, it's no more than 3 sentences in an email. You don't need what we used to do when I was going through my divorce. You'd have this. You'd want to go on this diatribe, right? You're like, and you're sitting there texting, and you're like, oh my god, this just feels so good. I'm going to give it to her, and then I would delete the whole thing.
Yeah, I send it to my
Because yeah, I wouldn't even send it to anybody. I would just get it out, give yourself the texting and the therapy that you need, and just to get it out. And then in this day and age, if you're not using Chat GPT or some form of AI to communicate with the other side during this type of event, you should absolutely be doing that. Chat GPT didn't exist in 2017 when I went through my divorce, but had I done it now, every time I received a text message or an email, I would send it through Chat GPT and get a proper two sentence or 3 sentence response back. Because if you're not operating like a CEO and you're not controlling your emotions and making good decisions like that, you've got to be very careful of what the opposing counsel is going to put up on the big screen in the courtroom if you make it there.
Do not put it in writing if you don't want it to come back at you.
Right.
So never put it in writing. That's the thing. I've stopped people doing that the same. I do recommend, if you just do that, just make sure you have nobody in the to column. That's a really important thing, because sometimes we hit enter by accident and it goes. Most of the email systems now have a way to pull it back, but you got to pull it back real quick.
Within like 10 seconds.
Yeah, what I do 2-second rule. But as long as they don't open it, you can usually pull it back. But if you're texting and things like that, don't text them. Text it to a friend, text it to your bestie, text it to someone who's a confidant. If you don't have that, text it to Jamie. Jamie won't do anything with it if you need to put it out there. But the best form is to write it up and then delete it. I used to do that when I had to write a letter of dispute or something like that. I'd get all the cranky out and then I'd delete it, and then I'd write the really nice letter, the appropriate professional version. So
it's therapeutic, I get it, but you want to be careful.
Yeah, you got to be careful, because whatever's in writing could be used against you. The words matter and how you phrase it. And like my good friend Doriana, she is from Writing Connection. She says a comma counts, and where it is matters a lot. So punctuation matters. So that in this texting, quick back and forth, yeah, it feels good for a second, and then you get the rut rows. The rut row, I can't believe I just sent that. What am I going to do now? That's when I used to get a call from, the people who knew me. It's like, rut row, I just sent this. I'm like, oh, that's a problem. So, now I can send them to you. If someone's just starting the divorce process, Jamie, what are some of the things they can do to prepare themselves to come out of this process as well as we possibly can?
If you're just starting the process, now is the time to start organizing your financial information. People miss this all the time, and I'm of course biased simply because I'm in the financial world, but going back to my earlier comments about us only getting 60% of the information, that's usually because they waited too long. So set up a Google Drive or set up a OneDrive, or I forget what Apple has, but you set up a drive somewhere. And as the electric bill comes in, as the tax returns come in, as your brokerage account statement comes in, your retirement plan information, you just start saving it. And if you do it over the course of 6 months or a year, you don't have to sit down on a Saturday and go to every account and open up all the statements and download them and save them. You just do it piecemeal. You
Yeah.
take one step at a time and you start organizing this information. Put it in folders if you need to. If there's a lot of information, put it into one folder. If you're just going to just data dump, whatever, doesn't matter how you do it. You just need to start doing it because you're going to be asked for this information anyway. Every state, when you're communicating with the courts, you're going to have to fill out financial affidavits. These are the affidavits that will help our clients fill out and send to the courts. And if you're scrambling for the information, if you're like, well, I think I have 1,000, we had a case, I'll share, we had a case yesterday. And we're going through this information, and all of a sudden as we're going through the confirm of like, do we have this account? Do we have it titled the correct way? And so on. She's like, oh, but I have this other account. Well, how much is in it? Not that much. $12,000. Okay, well, we have this other account. How much is in there? Not that much. It's just for expenses at our house in Cabo, $50,000. And I'm like, what are you talking about? For 3 weeks, you've been sending us information. We've been organizing it on our end. Why are we just now finding out about it?
Yeah.
So if you started organizing information along the way and didn't just try to just do it all on a Saturday, you're gonna have a much more favorable outcome because you're not gonna miss things and forget about things.
Yeah. A lot of times it's you forget because you put it there and you kind of put it in
Yeah,
the back of your mind and it's something that's just natural. That's a number one thing too, is the all the things that you really do when you start thinking about it, and this is here and that's there, and it's a lot to take in. So I like what you're
it is.
suggesting is, it's coming, so start putting it together in one place, whether it's a hardcore folder, if it's an electronic folder, if you want to scan and drop, whatever, at least you'll have access to it. So when you or someone else asks you for it, you have it, so that it just makes the process easier. It's the anxiety of not knowing, which is the biggest portion, I believe, in the divorce process. The anxiety of not knowing the outcome, anxiety of not knowing if you can afford it, the anxiety of not knowing. It's the unknown that gets everybody confused. We need to know what you want. And if you know what you want, it makes the process easier. And putting your priorities in the right place is really, I think, an important element, don't you?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So one last question I really want to go over as deeply as you want to is, what are some of the financial implications of divorce? Yeah, big sigh.
It's a big sigh because it's a big sigh because we don't have enough time to go into every aspect of this. But if you think about it from the perspective of like where we're sitting, we have so many questions.
We made it to the other side.
Yeah, but it's like, how are we going to prepare for college and pay for college? How are we going to have the life and the retirement that I want? Am I going to be able to start that business, or am I going to be able to keep the house? Like, there's all these questions that we have, and divorce impacts every single one of them and your ability to do those things. And you had mentioned this earlier on, where it's kind of like we all have this vision of it's a beautiful house with the white picket fence and the 2.5 kids and the dog in the yard and all these things, and that doesn't happen. And so divorce impacts in the implications of the decisions you have to make along the way, and like your future relationships. It literally will just change your life and who you are as a person.
Yeah.
And I know it did for me. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not the same person I am today that I was 10 years ago.
100%.
Not even close.
100%.
It depends on what day it is and who you ask, whether it was good or bad. But I think
100% for me too.
it's like, what are the implications? It impacts everything.
Yeah, but change isn't necessarily bad. It's fearful for a lot of people, but I embrace it now. And I think it's when you don't fight it tooth and nail all the way down. Listen, I had that same vision of me being a little old lady walking hand in hand with my husband, on the beach, not talking to each other because we didn't need to anymore. That whole thing, because I watched my parents do it. They were just like lobsters. They were just connected to the last day. And that's beautiful. And God bless the people who have that capability. So that's a beautiful thing. But that's not necessarily what everybody goes through. So you actually have to release that and
Mhm.
understand you're not a failure at all. You have a change and you're going one direction, they're going in another direction. And it's not wrong or bad, it just is. And the easier you kind of go through it and surround yourself with people who are helping you through the process, who know it. You do this all the time, especially you're a mediator as well. I think that's brilliant that you can do both. Be a mediator because you know how to really keep the parties together and have those conversations. And
Yeah.
and keep that out of the courts. The courts don't want to hear this stuff. The courts want to be working on other things that the courts really need to be involved in. And so if we don't have to go in there and clog the courts up, it's a faster process. I mean, what's the average? I know you said some go on for a long time. What's the
Mhm.
average divorce time?
I I would say probably a year.
Yeah,
I think a year is about average.
yeah,
Each state is a little bit different. Like I just wrapped up a mediation case where they're in North Carolina, which your neighbor, but you have to wait a year. You have to be separated for a year before you can even be divorced. In California, it's 6 months. In Nevada, it's 1 day. So it really just depends on what state you're in. So that a lot of that's controlled by the states. On
yeah.
average, I think we're looking at a year.
But during the process, it takes about a year to go through the whole process anyway, to get
Mhm.
all the stuff together and compile
Yeah.
it. So while you're waiting for that separation to the year to kind of work out, I think a lot of the states are a year. It's important, but part of that is also, keeping your heart safe and surrounding yourself with professionals like you. You do this all the time. You know what needs to be done. That takes some of the confusion and fear and the unknown away because you do it all the time. It's like a real estate agent. Real estate agent buys and sells houses all the time, so they know all the things you're going to go through. When you're going through it yourself, you do it maybe once, twice, if you're lucky in your year, maybe a couple of
Or
times
unlucky.
or unlucky, depending on how you look at it, right? But so it's just like there's so many unknowns, but that's why you get a professional involved to walk alongside you to say, hey, no, this is normal. This is normal. Okay, then I know it's normal. Is it Abby normal? Oh, I did that thing with the Zoom where I
Uh,
used my hands and I put myself into darkness. But so, is this normal? Does this happen all the time, or is this just happening to me? No, it happens all the time. Oh, okay. That normalization, it makes it a little easier. The process still is icky. But someone like yourself, you're so kind and you help people through and you have the knowing that makes the process so much easier and better. So thank you so much for everything that you do and going out there and helping people. Again, I stress that your power partners, people that you could really be good power partners with, are financial advisors, are other divorce attorneys, and say, hey, not yet. Go see them first, because you can help them sidestep any other thing that could happen along the way. And it's just a brilliant concept. And that's why, Jamie, I was just like so excited to have you on today because I knew our listeners would be able to take this information and do so much yumminess with it. So again, all of your access links and all that good stuff is with this episode. And last thoughts, I'm a take action success coach. I like people to take action. If they had to take one action and they're thinking about getting divorced, they're in a divorce, what would that one action be that you would advise them to be?
I think I always come back to using your resources. And that's something that was taught to me early on as a mentor of mine. That was one of the very first things that he said to me is, use your resources. And if you're considering it, you're contemplating it, you're on the precipice of doing it, you have to use your resources. And there's a lot of people, a lot of information out there. Check your sources, but use your resources. There's a lot, like we have people that book calls with us and they don't even know why they booked a call. And it's so frustrating because I'm like, you didn't do any research leading up to this conversation. I could have been anybody on the face of the planet. And we're just here to talk. Like, what do we have? What are we having this conversation for? So don't be that person.
Yeah.
Show up prepared for your conversations, get your education, use the tools that are out there, reach out to people like us, reach out to coaches like you, get your ducks in a row and use your resources because you're gonna have a much that anxiety that you talked about all stems from not being prepared.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but how can I get prepared? I mean, I don't know what to do to get prepared. So, where's the best place to, how would I prepare to have a conversation with you other than knowing, listen, this isn't working. What are my next
Yeah. I
steps?
mean, you can, if you go to our website, there are a ton of free resources on there. If you just spent 30 minutes with our blog, you're going to get a pretty good understanding of what the process looks like. We have a white paper that's on the website that literally will tell every aspect of, like, here's the litigation piece, here's what mediation looks like, here are the key players in a
Oh,
divorce. It's literally just, it's like a divorce encyclopedia in 12 pages. Use your resources. Go to our website, and just go to the blog. Spend some time on our blog, to, or social media. We put out a ton of content in TikTok and Facebook. We have a Facebook group called Preparing Financially for Divorce. You can just search for us there. There's so much education that we put out. I would start there. I'm
yeah. And
biased, of course, because it's our material. I'm biased, but I mean that would be a great place to start because there's a ton of it there.
well, it's a way to determine whether or not you're a good fit for them too. It's a way for them to research what they're going to get and not just this willy-nilly person trying to be like you, as opposed
Yeah.
to them coming directly to you. So I like that. I definitely think everybody here, if this is something you're going through, do it with support. Jamie is here for you. Reach out to Jamie if you want. Reach out to me. My staff will give you his links if you don't get them with the episodes. Don't you worry. We got you. We got you. Thank you so much for being on. I love what you do. I'd love to have you back so you can do one of your little mini courses and right here on our radio show and get some information out there. This was a really good way to introduce you to the listeners and have people reach out to you. But I think there's more here that we need to do together. So I thank you
Okay.
so much for being on today.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
And thank you all for being here at Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I hope we've earned the privilege of your time. Again, I want to thank our guest today, Jamie Lima. And I want to really have you think about all these yummy tools. I told you at the beginning there would be yummy tools out there, and he's giving you access for free to all these yummy tools. So take him up on it. And then if you need additional help, I think reach out for that. Until next time, see us next Saturday at 3 p.m. on JVC Broadcasting and iHeartRadio. We can be found on all major platforms, and we'd be so grateful if you please like, follow, share, and subscribe. And please take a moment for yourself. It's real important for us to take a breath, take a moment, so that we really have the opportunity to lift ourselves up and be grateful for what we have around us. Until next time, I am Coach Lorianne, America's #1 Take Action Success Coach. Let your dreams be bigger than your fears and let your life be filled with joy. My privilege. See you next time. Thanks, Jamie.